I'm going to count us down. We're going to go 3.
Maybe that's when it lights up. Like, you see what it did? It kind of lit up.
I saw the flicker.
Yeah, and it flickered. Well, anyway, and welcome to the Barrel Buddies. I'm James.
And I'm BJ.
I was like, get going here, man.
And welcome to your weekly booze news and reviews.
Oh, that was so lame.
We're so excited to have you here for a brief half hour of smooth beverages and delights.
We got a good one today.
We've got something interesting for you. A nice vintage ale coming to you from the annals of Kirkland.
AKA Costco.
If you're a member, you can enjoy the fine benefits.
It's a member exclusive.
You can enjoy the fine benefits of the 2024 vintage ale. And we'll get into that. We're going to get into that.
Voice. Sorry.
Hi, good evening.
I was like, wrap it up here. Wrap that up.
I'm gonna go ahead and pour this and let it start getting.
Yeah. Let's pour it. So, friends, family, countrymen, we have the.
Lend me your beers.
20. I see what you did there. This is a big deal. I don't know if it is a big deal or not because I have
kind of
speculation as to where this originated from.
Well, we know who made it. It says on the box.
Why is it all sticky? What is that on the side? I'm not licking it and tasting it, but it's something sticky.
Lick it and taste it.
The 2024. Oh, get a little bit of the nose.
Oh,
aromatic nose. Oh, well, I'll see when you pour it. That is Abyss. That is Abyss through.
It smells like Abyss.
It smells like Abyss. All right. Actually, we should get to it in a minute. I don't want to describe it yet because I want some people to roll in. And if you're here just for the review, you need to skip ahead a little bit until we start talking about it and you see us. You do that little, where you click the toggle across. You're like,
wait, did you unmonetize this so people don't have to?
No, it's monetized. They're getting interrupted. Deal with it. Get YouTube Premium if they don't want it. If they don't want ads, because that's what I have. Get with the program. Wow. So
very
pays the bills.
Of you.
Pays the bills. Pays the bills, guys.
Pays our bills. Thank you.
So
we're gonna start with the news.
Just wait till you toggle. You see us drink it and sip it and smell it. Then you know you're in the right
We'll
spot.
cheers you. That's how you'll know. And you can look down at the bottom and you'll see the most replayed. You'll see the big hump of replayed. Let's start with the news. The hump.
You'll see the hump.
I'd like to talk about something that we have been recently into, and that's going to be Angel's Envy.
Oh, we do like us some Angel's Envy.
We were shockingly very
Angel's
good.
Envy fans, believe it or not. Well, I am.
I'm with you. I'm a fan.
I'm never going to discount Angel's Envy ever.
So we had the port. We had that port finished.
We did have the port finished,
which was really nice. And master distiller Owen Martin.
All right,
you remember? If you don't, here he looked like this.
Oh, we're sitting there. Shout out
Owen.
To Glamour Shots, Owen Distiller, Owen Martin.
That's pretty good. Well, he and his team, this is coming over from the manual. Thanks to the manual. He and his team are putting out a new tawny port wine cask finished bourbon, along with its ruby port wine finished cask bourbon. And this new tawny port cask.
For reference, here's Owen Martin and that pose we just did.
118.8 proof cask strength whiskey. And this one's going to be bringing in flavors of butterscotch, brown sugar, stone fruit, apples, chocolate, oak, cinnamon, and candied nuts.
Oh,
now I'm particularly excited about this because the port cask finish that they have out now is a ruby port cask finish.
Yeah,
which typically ruby port is no more than 2.5 years. A tawny port can go up to
an older
40
one, right?
years.
40
yeah,
or
you're looking
4?
10 to 40, 40.
Whoa.
So there's some age on the tawny ports. Those are the ones that typically give you those dried apple, dried raisin, dried stone fruit, little spicier tones. Those are the ports that people have, and they're like, oh, I don't know that I like ports, but they might like rubies because they're sweet and young, and they're a little more wine forward, a little more grape forward. These are going to be rancio and old and musty, and they're going to have those notes of dried, aged, complex flavors. So I actually think this is going to be an interesting finished bourbon. whiskey that Angel's Envy is putting out. I'm excited for this.
Do you know? Is there any price, or they don't talk about price on?
I imagine it's going to fall in line with everything else. Let's take a quick look.
I think somebody said during the last show that
suggested retail price
yes,
not in line.
oh
with everything
no.
Just so you know, this is going to be dropping in December for the suggested retail price of
What?
$229.99.
Oh, Angel's Envy, don't jump the shark again and pull an Ed Hardy of whiskey and go back to your old crappy overpriced pricing model. Come on. 229 or 299?
$229.99.
Oh, Angel's Envy, why? Why? Just for the barrel? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Come on. News
Yeah.
about whiskey. It is going well. Good to see you.
News
Welcome
about
back to the
whiskey.
show.
We're actually talking about
griping.
news about whiskey.
Yeah, we're actually talking about
Not
whiskey
you,
news.
but,
if you
very
missed
meta.
it, we were griping a little bit about this new Angel's Envy offering dropping next month. It's a tawny port
Finish,
and it's going for $229.
which I'm excited. But
yeah, I'm
not
all
the
about
price.
it. But like,
That price is going to be
come
rough.
on here. You know.
So, anyways, how about this one? I like this one.
And how much was the cask strength?
69.
No. The cask strength.
Yeah, 69.
Was it? I
Yeah.
didn't know that it was.
No, it was.
I thought that one was like 200 or something. 200 something.
No, I don't think so.
I think we're wrong.
Yeah, I like being wrong. Surprise me. Find it.
Yeah, I want to find the MSRP.
While you look for that, I'm going to read you this one.
Yeah.
I'm real excited for this. This is coming out of CNN. Thanks, CNN. This was published today. Do you like Fireball? Some of us like Fireball. Well, have they got a great new announcement for you? If you've been to some recent football games, you might have seen some Fireball staff at the end of the game out with some droppers collecting tears. That's right, tears.
229. 229.
For the regular cast strength too?
Yes.
So it is right in line.
Excuse me, 259. Pardon.
Oh, it's a little lower.
Anyway.
So Fireball has a new whiskey they're going to be debuting next year.
Sorry, I was news said around 200. Yes. I would say, yeah, Vegas, we have a premium that we're, especially Total Wine. So it sounds about right. So we'll say 2 to 260 for cask strength, which, I mean, not to cut your story off here, just going back to their prices. Like, the thing is that got me was how much of a discrepancy there is from that to like the basic offerings, because it was like,
well,
it goes from there
strength
to like,
over blend.
Okay, but
you know, cask strength though could still be blended.
I think because I use Elijah Craig as such like my,
but even that cost
test
is off of
nowadays it is
$100. This is, I don't want to talk about inflation.
Anyway,
I want to talk about something fun.
Go on.
Fireball has a new whiskey coming out. You may have seen their staff at the end of college and professional football games out collecting tears, and that's because they're making a new whiskey out of tears. Fireball whiskey is collecting those tears of disappointed football fans after their team loses for a brand new whiskey debuting next year called Cryerball. The flavor will capture the true spirit of game day, blending the emotion of heartbreak with the cinnamon sweetness of Fireball, according to a new press release. We're going to go to that press release. I do love press releases. The press release, which was released on October 29th, is saying, huddle up, football friends and foes. This November, they're literally transforming tears into cheers with the launch of the game-changing limited edition whiskey infused with the essence of football rivalries, the tears of the losing teams. Dubbed Cryerball, the first of its kind offering, provides to capture the true spirit of game day, blending the emotion of nail-biting finishes and heartbreak with Fireball's iconic cinnamon sweet flavor that's sure to score big with fans. I got to be honest, I'm very interested in trying this.
It reminds me of how Uncle P, good evening.
Hello and good evening.
You?
Yes, they will be sterilizing the tears, by the way.
So, you know, this reminds me
It's going to go through sterilization.
Many years ago, I don't think they do it anymore, but Rogue
Borat
did Beard Beer.
Oh,
where the distiller
gross.
they
Not
like
even close.
they were able to harvest a yeast strain from his beard. Pretty nasty.
Yes, I remember
Yeah.
when they did this.
And then it gets even
No,
nastier, where I
stop.
think
We're
they've
not.
done yeast.
No.
They've used like porn stars. You see where
Why are
that
we?
one's
No.
going.
Why are we talking?
I'm dead serious. This is
I
stuff
know
that
you are.
exists.
I know.
Um,
The potato chips,
I don't know how
the
Fireball.
whiskeys.
I don't know how Fireball could really get that many tiers. It sounds a little gimmicky to me.
It's gimmicky.
Yeah. Even if they get like a vial's worth over like 20 games,
It's a
like,
vial's worth of tears.
I don't know. It's kind of reach. It's a reach.
It's
for
fun.
Fireball.
It's fun.
I think they do a
marketing.
great job with marketing where they don't have to do that, because I think some of their, like the Fireball keg, the Fireball candy cane that has like 100 little bottles in it, like they do some really cool stuff.
That's
already.
not even whiskey though. They've proven that the tiny bottles
Yeah.
is actually like wine. It's wine alcohol. It's not even whiskey alcohol.
Oh wow.
Did you know this?
Anyway, no, I didn't know that.
Malt liquor.
Oh, malt liquor. Well, yeah, I guess.
Cinnamon malt liquor.
Yeah.
So just throwing that out there.
All right. Well, what else do we got on the news front besides hearing about the
one last one that I
how
want to
great
share with
Fireball
you that I
is?
thought was enjoyable. Oh, sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. Mayhem at LaGuardia as a raccoon falls out of the ceiling.
Mayhem.
At a Spirit Airlines gate is both the most New York thing and Spirit Airlines thing to ever happen. I enjoyed that. That was fun. No, but this is fun. So recently, published by Ed Cara, they're saying that animals are out there in the wild consuming more alcohol than we ever realized.
Oh.
And they're saying that in a paper that was recently published last week, researchers are stating that alcohol consumption in the animal kingdom is more common than anyone assumes, stating that there's still a lot that we don't know about it, including whether or not animals are actively seeking out alcohol. And they go on to talk about how the alcohol that humans regularly consume, ethanol, as we talk about on this show, has been around for a long time. It's in nature primarily created through the fermentation, of course, from sugars found in fleshy fruits, from yeast and fungus. And that they say that the evidence is suggesting that this has been happening naturally out there for 100 million years, ever since the Cretaceous period.
Whoa.
That's kind of amazing. And they're saying that evidence is out there that animals have actually evolved to handle their booze better, and that a basic enzyme related to genes have evolved, allowing living things to break down ethanol, and has been around for a really long time, predating the emergence of yeast, and that some animals who regularly eat this rotting fruit are actually more proficient at it. Humans, chimps, and gorillas in particular have an important mutation tied to a specific stomach enzyme, while tree shrews appeared to have an improved alcohol-related enzyme produced by their liver. And they're saying that oriental hornets can also consume unlimited amounts of alcohol without any ill effects. So more research out there being done on the consumption of alcohol and how we have evolved to break it down more efficiently, and whether or not anybody's going out there to actually like consume it. I'll tell you right now, if you tuned into this show, we're helping out and we're letting them know you're out there actively trying to consume it. You're in the wild and you are actively consuming it.
What a great story. What a great story. All right. So Kirkland, Costco, friends, family, countrymen, Deschutes. We are here. We are here today to bring you the one and only Kirkland 2024 Vintage Ale.
Let's give you some breakdowns on this bottle. So this is currently being sold not at every Kirkland, by the way, but at a select number of Costco's. We don't know which Costco's they are, but I will tell you, here in Las Vegas, they got them.
Yeah.
This is the bourbon barrel-aged imperial stout being called the Vintage Ale. It's aged for 9 months in bourbon barrels. It is an imperial stout meticulously crafted by Deschutes Brewery in Bend, Oregon, with notes of dark chocolate and roasted coffee, coming in at a total ABV of 8%. It's packaged in this nice box, so it feels very gifty for the holidays.
And this 22-ounce bottle. So this is in a bomber. Was $9.99.
$10. That's a deal.
That's a steal.
It really is. That's a deal.
That is a steal. So, for those that don't know, when a stout typically is ready to be enjoyed, you want to serve it at cellar temperature, which is roughly 55 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when you should, as you can see, we've kind of poured it here and let it kind of do its thing. So for those that don't know, Deschutes is a brewery out of Oregon, Bend, Oregon. And they're one of the originals. I was telling Beej how sorry, I was reading something. So I was telling Beej that like when I first started in craft beer many years ago, 2016, 2017, maybe, probably 2015. It was all about like Deschutes and like Oscar Blues and
Oscar
Goose
Blues.
Island was like a unicorn, and they were like the only players in the scene. And of course, you had like Rogue and what was it? Who does Victory at Sea?
Ballast
Point, because we were on the West Coast, right? So we get a lot of that. Like
we get all those West Coast, but
the West Coast
craft
stuff.
beer, the craft beer scene in the 80s and 90s. I mean, this is where it was really blowing up. I'm not saying the East Coast didn't have it; they did. But when you think of the big craft beer transformation that led the craft beer revolution in America, I do think of West Coast breweries like Stone, Deschutes, Ballast Point.
Firestone Walker, Sierra Nevada,
100%.
Yeah. Some of the old big players, Anchor.
Yeah. And so Deschutes is right up there, and they're still family owned and operated today.
Yeah.
They're employee owned. Actually, they're no longer just family owned, but they actually have an employee owned program. And some fun other things. You might be familiar with Deschutes because of other things they make, like the fresh squeezed IPA. You mentioned earlier Obsidian. They also made the Abyss,
which I think that's what this is.
I'm pretty sure that's what this is. And then they also made Black Butte Porter, which was a very big popular beer. And then Fresh Juiced came out of everything. I mean, they've had a pretty good run of IPAs as of recent.
Yeah, and they've gotten pretty crazy with Black Butte. So as you guys know, they have that like they put the Roman numerals on the bottle of like the run of Black Butte. Yeah. I know that people used to collect a bunch of them. They do Raspberry Porter Black Butte. They do the Dissident, which is like Flanders Brown Ale. Oof.
Not a fan, I take it.
No, dude, I'm not a big porter fan.
I don't love porters
or a quad. I don't like any of that.
I don't love porters, but Black Butte was good. Obsidian was
good.
But
for some reason, I like barley wines, which is kind of like similarly, kind of runs along the line.
True.
Uncle P, really quick. Uncle P says his grocery stores only sell wine, but they sell Fireball. Huh.
There you go. Cinnamon wine.
Cinnamon wine.
Just to answer some quick questions before we get into this.
Yeah.
What makes an imperial stout different than a regular stout? It's actually strength. The process, the blend, the recipe style is the same, but what starts to make it imperial actually goes back to the old Russian imperial ales of the 1600s. It made a big comeback in the 80s when they started bulking up stouts, and instead of calling them strong ales, they just thought it would be cooler to call them imperial stouts or imperial ales, because I think that sounds cool too.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was aged in a bourbon barrel, 9 months. We don't know what bourbon barrel it was aged in. Honestly, it could have been anything. But let's give her a try.
Cheers.
Let's see where we're at.
Yeah, again for $9.99, and I'll get into why I think this was made this way in a minute.
Sometimes they get yeasty and weird, but I think it's got a delightful nose.
So here's my inkling. Beer's dead for those that aren't with the program, right?
Ooh,
like
licoricey.
Beer Hobby, star anise, clove.
Ooh, it's very licoricey.
Definitely though, dark chocolate, cocoa nibs, a lot of meat. Like you're literally like sucking on a cocoa nib.
It's very
like cocoa powder,
bitter,
truffle powder.
It's very bitter and not.
And roasty.
I don't know if I want to call it a good bitter.
So here's the thing: beer's dead, right?
Ooh.
And I think that for those that don't know, Kirkland does a lot of their store branded stuff. People are like big into their tequilas, big into their vodkas that are all store brands because they usually get them from like big deal producers. You know, it was rumored for a long time that their vodka was all Grey Goose, the Kirkland vodka, and everybody went wild over it. And so Kirkland goes out to these producers, and they have tons of various scotches and blends that are all unique that these facilities have, and they don't want to dump it down the drain if it doesn't pass like a quality check, or if it like is just a hair maybe like too old. The beer community is unfortunately seen a huge downturn over the past like 2 to 3 years. Beer is on the decline, just like bourbon's on the decline. Let's be honest here. And I think that, you know, beer is a finite product. Like beer does not last forever. So when you brew something and
product,
barrel
yeah.
age it, it's food, right, guys? Like that's some people, even whiskey is in the same
It's food.
boat to an extent. Like this is a food product, and it has a shelf life if it's not taken care of appropriately.
We literally threw whiskey out tonight.
Yeah, we actually did. It was oxidized, it was Band-Aidy. So this I think falls in line with probably something that didn't pass their quality check, because here's the thing: from a bomber of a 9-month-old barrel-aged imperial stout typically runs like $20 to $25. This is $9.99 in a box.
That's a steal.
In a box. Like, you got to think about, like, that means they at least, their cost is probably $3 or $4 all in. Let's be honest here. Like, they're in it to make money. I kind of am curious what kind of deal they had with the Deschutes, and I'm not knocking this at all. I'm just saying that, like, this
Sounds
is
like
probably
you are.
the process. I know this
Sounds
is
like you're
probably
knocking
the
it hard.
process that they went through to be like, you know what? Hey, Deschutes is like, hey, we're sitting on a ton of this stuff that maybe didn't pass the quality check, or maybe it's getting a little old, or blah 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 blah. We can throw it in this vintage ale, make it in this like boomer packaging that can like sell like hotcakes, like
Boomer packaging.
like old school beer craft nerd packaging. Like this is like,
It has some Firestone Walker Palabra packaging.
yeah, it has like that old
For
kind of
sure.
like, this is not something you want to buy and sit on for a couple of years, but a bunch of people are going to go into Costco and they're going to see this at their warehouse. I'm like, oh, this is a great gift for little Jimmy. Like, let's get him a bottle and ship it to him, because this is a really easy stocking stuffer and it's kind of cool. I mean, this
It is cool.
nowhere,
No, not kind of.
it's
It's
nowhere
cool.
close to Bourbon County. Like if I had to, like Goose Island, Bourbon County, it's nowhere close to that.
I'm gonna fight you on that.
It's nowhere close to anything offered by Firestone Walker. It's nowhere close to anything.
How many sips of this have you had?
Like 2 or 3, and I think it might be over critiquing it, but
You are
the
over-critiquing
clove
it.
and the star anise is not good.
I've definitely had 3 big sips. I chewed my big third one. I really threw it around the mouth. And I
like-
think you're really riding this one a little
Dude,
harder.
coffee grounds, cocoa nibs. It's not
I won't-
welcoming.
no, I won't
It
fight you on
doesn't
coffee
invite you
grounds.
back. It doesn't invite you back to keep sipping on it. It's like drinking like cigarette ash water.
It's not that bad.
But you know where I'm coming from.
I know where you're coming from.
That's all I
grounds-
ask that you affirm.
The coffee
is
grounds.
that you
I'll give you.
confirm coffee
give you the
grounds with a
coffee
little bit
grounds.
of cigarette ash.
The cigarette ash is pushing it. I won't. I'm not going to concede that.
But it's
The coffee grounds, yes.
it's got a little bit of acrid roastiness.
It's
Let's call it that.
Very roasty. So okay, I gave it a 3
Acrid
sips.
roasty.
I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna say this is bold, right? I think this is very bold.
Okay.
It even says so on the box. The box description says smooth, bold, and complex.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I'm gonna give it to you.
Bold and
Bold.
complex.
I'm gonna give it to you. Smooth. I think you're reaching on smooth. Complex. Maybe not as much as you would have hoped. And that's how I would write that. Bold, yes. It is very dark chocolate cacao nib.
Dragon's milk. That's another one I would say falls in that category.
I like Dragon's milk all day.
I like it too. I think it's way better than this.
I think it's better than this.
I'm just trying to put like a
but I would
on a
tell you
level with somebody, right?
I would compare this. I would compare this to some of the more recent offerings of Bourbon County. And I think that's what this is, right? Bourbon County comes out on Black Friday every single year, right? That's the Goose Island offering of Bourbon County. It has a huge cult following. Everybody lines up for it. You want to know what comes out. Is it as good? I don't know that it's as good. It is different. I think it's on level with. I think it's at the price point. I think it's competitive. I think you're right. Coffee grounds, big dark chocolate flavors, but like dark chocolate from the, when you buy those 80% Ghirardelli chocolate squares, and you're like 80% cocoa, and then you bite into it and you go, grosso. That's what it's like. It's overwhelming on the palate. I think the mouthfeel is really nice. I think it's very full bodied. I was concerned the viscosity of this was going to be really low. It was going to be watery. Not so. I think that it plays really nice on the mouth. I think where we may have been expecting something a little more pastry stout, this plays a lot more to something like an
classic.
This is classic
stout.
This is a classic imperial. This is like old Rasputin.
Yeah,
right.
It's just a Speedway stout. Like you think of like some
I
of
think
that
Speedway
old
is
stuff,
even
sweeter, thicker. Yeah, I like it.
And I had read some stuff
like
that said,
Speedway
"Oh,
stout,
this
actually.
is sweet, not
It's not
cloyingly
sweet at all."
I don't think that this does not play to my sweet palate, and I pick up on sweet stuff
It's
all
not
the time.
sweet.
I love
It's
sweet.
not sweet. This is not sweet.
I don't get sweet.
If anything, it might be
Bitter.
grassy and bitter
so bitter,
and oaky and roasty and Ovaltine dark truffle
malty, very
maltiness.
malty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ovaltine malty.
But I'm not. Again, it's not that I'm like it doesn't invite you back. Like I know you're pounding it, but dude, I can't do it.
I'm trying to be open-minded.
I know,
and really objective.
I think Bourbon County blows it out of the water. I think that Firestone
But I think
Walker,
it's because
Sticky
Bourbon
Monkey,
County is sweeter.
Parabola. Yeah, they
Those
are
are all
sweeter, and
sweeter.
it should be. Let's
are
be
all
honest. That's
sweeter
what people
stouts.
want. People don't want this old school boomer ale shit anymore. We're over the hump with this. This was like because they didn't know about 24-hour boils back then. They didn't know about like adding extra ingredients to make things sweeter on the front end. Like they didn't understand this back then. And this is like that Mr. Beer shit, the kit you buy online that you brew at home and you think it's going to taste like a Bourbon County and it tastes like this. This is exactly what that is.
I think
it's underdeveloped. It's not good. It's $9.99. You get what you pay for. And I just saw some idiot on Reddit say, "Oh yeah, buy a couple and store it for 5 years."
Oh,
Under no circumstances should you do that.
Don't do that. This is not sellable.
Do not. And if you come back and watch this show,
not sellable.
Do not buy this as a stocking stuffer for your friends and family. Nobody's going to appreciate this unless you were a fan and you want to reminisce about old shitty styles of Imperial Stout. End of story. Hashtag in a rant.
No, I think you're right. I think that, listen, I think if you're over the age of 50 and a big beer fan, absolutely, this should be a stocking stuffer.
Remember, it's going to tug the heartstrings of like
you're going to like this.
School Abyss and Black Butte. No, yeah, I used to have a fridge of all the Black Butte collections, and nobody cares anymore, and nobody liked that shit to begin with.
No, there's
you
a
might
market.
Still be sitting on them now. You got to drain pour them, my friends.
There's a market for this.
Start replacing.
But there's the problem with this is we've learned about balance.
There's a market for it because this is FOMO. This is hype. This stupid box.
It's the end of hype, though. It's the other side of the bell curve.
Like people are gonna buy this because it looks cool, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. This looks cool. The stupid box. And Christmas is around the corner. They couldn't have dropped this at a better time.
Oh, agreed. No, from a marketing perspective, genius.
Yeah, it is absolute genius.
Not as bad though. What I'm going to say is, it's not as bad as you are ranting it out to be.
I disagree.
It's not that bad.
I think you're giving it way more credit than it's due.
The thing I'm afraid,
because I know I grew up with that crap when I was coming up in beer.
So did I
wish that I could have a good sweet Bourbon County and be like, "Oh, this is what beer is meant to taste like." Not having to crawl before you can walk and drink this crap first, and it's just not good.
No. The difference is because there was so much crap out there in the experimental ages, right?
Yeah.
And our time frame is very compressed, so there was a lot of crap that was out there. Then we had the awakening,
magical explosion,
the golden age, renaissance,
the renaissance of beer,
craft beer.
Yes.
Okay. Like, yes, comparing this to a Dragon's Milk is
That's a
crazy.
bad comparison.
That's a bad comparison. First of all, they're two different beer
Yeah,
styles.
it is. You
So-
can't. That's a
so
milk
hold on.
stout. Yeah,
Hold on.
Yeah.
Pick another imperial stout.
During the time, let's say
Pick an imperial stout you like.
an imperial stout. Would Parabola count?
Sure.
Firestone Walker Parabola.
I think it does. I think it
so.
does count. I think Parabola. I think Sticky Monkey. Also.
No, that's a quad.
Oh, is that a quad?
Yeah.
Okay, I think Parabola counts.
So a Parabola, here we go, is aged for a year in bourbon barrels. It is a imperial stout.
Oh, look at it, 13.6%.
And this is actually probably the best thing
That's
to
a
compare
good
it to.
comparison.
It's a great comparison.
Because I've had Parabola. Some years of Parabola are like rough. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, what is this aged in? Bourbon? And this
Just
is
bourbon.
aged in rye and wheated whiskey barrels. Well,
Okay,
at least
it's a
one
little
the
different.
A little different.
You know, you've got a Parabola out in the fridge. I almost want to go pop it open and compare it.
I say we do. I'll go grab it.
Go get it.
I'll go get it. All right.
Go get it, because I'm going to give final thoughts on this, and then we'll give a number. I'm going to finish mine because I don't think it's that bad. So what James is going to do, and I think it's going to be a blast, is on Black Friday when Bourbon County comes out, we all go down to the liquor store and we all get on a line and we all pick up a couple of bottles, and then we do this very cringy. Very tongue-in-cheek, very trolly thing where we sit in the corner at a table with some coffee presses, French presses, and we will French press into bottles of Old Bourbon County, Oreos and Krispy Kreme donuts and Oreos. How about the fudge covered Oreos this year? And it's fun, right? Because you're taking and you're infusing these flavors into okay beer. I think that would be fun to do with this. I thought about things that you could do with this tonight, and again, I just don't think that we're prepared to do that on its own. Yes, I think this harkens back to an older era. I think the box even harkens back to what I'm going to say is an older era, 20 years ago, right? I think it is a good Christmas gift. I would have been happy to have this as a Christmas gift. It's not that bad. You know, James, he's going to rant it out. I'm going to give you my quick nose taste value with beer, not a big nose. All right, so I'm gonna ding it there with a 1. I think the taste is a 2. I think the value is a 3. But I'm not going to give it more than I'm not blown away by this. I think a 6 out of 10 is generous for this. That's where I'm going with that. But this is perfect. This is a perfect comparison.
So excited for this.
This is a perfect comparison
in a box. And let's read about it. So our brewery began in 1996 when we began blah, 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 blah. 10 years later, blah, blah, blah. We kept aging, blah, 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 blah. Parabola is a one-of-a-kind sipping experience. Enjoy it now or cellar it in a cool, dark place between 45 and 55 degrees. Allow it to warm up a little bit. This is a barrel-aged Imperial Stout 2019.
Yeah. So this is a perfect.
Yeah, throw a couple bottles in the fridge and let it age for a couple of years. All right, boss.
I'll tell you right now. I think
granted.
I think anything past 2 years on this is going to become a green pepper bomb.
Well, we'll know.
It's going to be a bomb.
For those that don't know, green pepper is a sign of oxidation and cardboardiness, band-aidiness taste.
But the coffee notes, that coffee ground flavor that's in the Kirkland is going to become. It's just going to become green pepper. I mean, it's going to taste like liquid bell pepper, and that's not a good thing.
Really good carb.
Got good carb. Hold on, let me down my water.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh.
You mind?
No, I'm gonna pour it and then you can smell it.
It's different out of the bottle.
No, it's not. It's better.
Oh wow. Okay, what you can't see right now is the pure motor oil that he just poured. So the carb that we poured out of the Kirkland bottle, very lacy and white. The carb that we're pouring out of this bottle is a almost peanut butter color, and it dissipates so fast. The head is not staying on this. That's the bubbles.
And I don't know if there's chunkies at the bottom of this, so I'm not going to pour it all.
Probably,
but for some guys for some of you out there that don't know this, sometimes when you pour a stout, especially an old one, you don't want to really pour past like maybe say the last half inch at the bottom of a bottle, because that can have a lot of chunkies that have settled during the aging process. That's why you should always store your bottles up. I know some people face them down, but unless it has a cork, do not do that because you can
No.
actually, the beverage, the liquid inside can eat away at the
rust.
protectiveness on your cap and rust.
It'll
through it.
rust your
So
cap.
never age your beer on its side unless it's corked.
That's
Only
a great
age
recommendation.
corked bottles on their side.
That is a great recommendation.
You always keep a beer right side up.
Thank
And
you,
I know so many
James.
people that don't listen to that. And that's such like a tidbit in word of wisdom that a lot of people don't know. So you heard it here. You heard not heard it here first, but you heard it here first. 13% alcohol by volume, 12%. 2019 Parabola by Firestone Walker.
These guys are in Buellton, California, just above Santa Barbara.
Oh, but it's very similar. Like I get
It's
a lot
super similar.
cheers.
But here's the thing.
I hope it's not green peppery.
What I'm going to say is the difference in nose that I get is a quality thing. It's like, oh, it smells like a better quality.
It's very similar, but better.
It's much more viscous.
Way more viscous.
And here's, you know what makes it better? I'll tell you right now. It's not bitter. There's no bitterness.
There's no bitterness.
It's really well
appreciated.
And it's the balance, right?
And
that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
I think the flavors are right here, minus that it's really bitter.
And I know some people would argue, well, you know, if you cellared it for
balanced.
2-3 years, maybe, you know, that bitterness will go away.
8%.
I don't think it will.
You cannot. 8% is not a beer you're going to cellar for more than 2 years. Okay, it's going to die. It's going to die.
That's another tidbit word of wisdom. So when you're cellar aging
14%.
Yeah,
that's wine. That's wine aging. You can age that up to 5-6 years.
Yeah, beer is again finite shelf life. You cannot. Beers have a very limited shelf life. The lower the ABV, the more at risk of them being oxidized. You need a heavy hitter like an imperial stout, 10, 12, 13, 14 to 20%. That really is the only way you can get away with aging something over 5 years.
This tastes, you know what I like about this? This tastes like a roasty root beer.
Yes.
It's got some
root
beer.
Roasty root beer.
Right? It's got the roastiness of coffee, but it's got back end notes of root beer. It's really nice. It's super balanced, well-rounded.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not knocking you, Deschutes. This is your first go at this. I don't see that you have any other barrel-aged stuff going on. I mean, I know you've done barrel-aged Black Butte, but for like an Imperial, maybe it's just a style thing, you know?
I think it is.
It's
I think
just a
that
style
what they
thing.
put in there was super roasty, and they tried to mellow it out, and it didn't mellow out. And then Kirkland was like, "We'll buy it."
You got to remember too,
Pennies
though,
on the dollar instead of becoming sludge down a drain.
Here's the thing that makes this fun for me.
Yeah.
Here's what I like about it, especially when it gets into beer, right? When you get into whiskey, it's very scientific. It's very mass produced. For beer, to me, this is like going to a restaurant and enjoying a really nice chef. You've got a brewmaster, a brewer who has put together a recipe. They've cooked it. They've babysat it. They have brought it from cradle to grave to bottle for your enjoyment. I mean, there's a lot of love that has gone into this. There's some science, but really it is like let's mix it, let's bake it, let's bottle it and hope for the best.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that process. I respect it so much. It's like going and talking to a good cook. Where whiskey, I'm not saying that that's not similar, but I think it's a little more scientific. I think it's a little more calculated.
Yeah.
Where this, I think, is a little bit more like roll of the dice and let's hope that it works. And so I respect this process.
Yeah, and I would say that like nowadays you touched lightly on it, pastry stouts. So friends, there's some insane pastry stouts out there nowadays that are basically like liquid desserts that have been barrel aged for 10, 12, 24 months that are like chocolate syrup. There's some crazy. Do you have any standouts? I mean, I'm trying to think of like
for pastry stouts.
Yeah, like any that you can think of.
Okay, you're gonna hate me for this one. You mentioned this brewery earlier.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna bring them back.
Yeah.
But the Voodoo Donut Stout from The guys who do Dead Guy.
Yeah, I think you're way off on Rogue.
We're from Rogue Brewing. I think that the Nut Brown Ale, while it's not a pastry stout, it's super sweet and delicious.
So one of that's my all-time favorite, and we're gonna really rein this in from where you're going.
Sorry,
is-
I'm pulling it.
I don't know
out.
why you didn't say this, because you've had so much of it. Was our dear friends in Boston, Massachusetts, at the one and only Trillium, make some of the world's best pastry stouts.
Are you going to bring up walnut cake?
Well, that's German. They're doing a German chocolate cake stout right now. Like, it's like a amazing.
Wait, we have a friend in town who we should have talked to, who could have muled it out.
Actually, already working on it. So Angry Chair Brewing has some amazing stuff out of Tampa. Weldworks out of Colorado has some amazing barrel aged stuff.
Mason Ale Works out of
Phase
San Diego.
3 out of Illinois.
How are we not talking about the
Three
brewery?
Floyds, the brewery. I mean, they kind of are over the hump now.
But back in the day, they did some really nice
Assassin
stuff.
out of Iowa from Toppling Goliath. I mean, there's so many out there that are just like next level. I mean, I think your Phase 3 stuff is crazy. And that's not totally forget
about the
about
answer.
The answer. That's totally not forget about our dear friends at Bottle Logic. They're kind of the kings on the West Coast. How could we forget about our dear friends at Bottle Logic?
I don't think we're forgetting about them so much as we're just like not putting them up on the list as high as they deserve.
Yeah.
Kings and queens of the pastry stout brewing. Some of their fundamental observation,
just all of their barrel aged stouts are just wild. Or just their
the Stasis project,
yeah. All the Paisley Cave complex, like some cryopreservation, Space Jam. They make some insane.
Jam the radar.
That so. These are the memories of these ridiculous beers that I cue when I taste something like this, and I'm just kind of disgusted. So with that being said, I give this a rating. The Deschutes or the Kirkland Vintage Ale gets a 40 from me.
You're going to call it Deschutes.
Deschutes gets a 40, so I'm going to give it like a 1 on the nose, 1 on the 1.5 on the taste, 1.5 on the value.
Come on, you got to give the value better than that. It's a $10
All right,
bomber.
Then it gets a nose 1. Taste 1, value 2.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's how you get your 4.
There you go.
You get your 4 there.
Okay.
So that's 4 Deschutes Kirkland Ale. And then I'm going to give a 75 to the Parabola, because it might probably deserves a 70.
Hold on, I'm going to ask a real question, though.
Yeah.
How much lactose do you think is in this Parabola?
None.
No, there's got to be.
Nope. They do it's all about
so
their brewing
smooth.
Process. They do not
they
do not put lactose. They probably boil these grains for 24 hours, maybe longer.
Really?
Yeah. That's
it's so smooth and thick, and it's viscous and full. Yeah. I mean, you sure they're not using lactose to achieve that?
They're not.
Lactose, by the way, is milk
Parabola
sugar.
Is boiled for twice as long as most of their other beers, but they think that's only about 2 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. There is, it's vegan friendly. They said also Firestone Walker.
Speaking of pastries, we just got notice that there's going to be pastries in the office in the morning.
Well, I'll be
homemade.
Wait. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I think that kind of wraps up our journey into the Kirkland Vintage Ale.
I'm not going to rate. Well, okay, I'll rate.
Come on, you got to rate Parabola.
I love Parabola.
I think this is delightful.
One of my all-time
faves. Quick aftertaste as I'm just like sitting here, and it makes me go back. I'm going back to it.
Yeah.
That is a sign of a good beer.
Again, not the nose, not a ton of things on the nose, so I'm going to give a 1.5 on the nose.
Old too.
But I am going to give the taste a 2.5, and I the value. I mean, what a Parabola is running right now, like $27 a bottle.
No. They're much cheaper because they used to be in bombers and now they're in 12 ounce.
I would say this is a small guy.
Yeah, so I think those are little ounces. They're like
bottle.
They're $10.99.
Oh, get out of town
for the halves.
All right, I'd give this a 3, so I'd give it a 5.5.
Yeah,
and a 6 and a 7. Yeah, I mean, I'd be in line with you at a 7 out of 10. I mean, this is classic. If you ever find yourself out near Buellton, which is in between Santa Barbara and Paso Robles,
Yeah, yeah.
thank you. You should schedule some time to just stop by.
I
A
want to.
good
I've never been
brewery.
there.
A good brewery is a good time, right? Even if you don't like beer and you're like, oh, I don't really like beer, go to a good brewery. Firestone Walker, great brewery, good facility, cool time, good food. You're gonna have a good time. You're gonna try some cool stuff. You don't have to buy any beer, but it's gonna be a great experience. So
One last quick standout from Firestone Walker. They do the yearly Firestone Walker Invitational.
there's some good stuff that
And
comes out of that.
It's in Paso Robles. So they have one coming up for 2025.
Let's go.
Um,
It's in May.
I don't
Let's
know
go.
when it is for 2025.
We're taking a trip.
Yeah, I don't know when.
We're taking a trip.
We should be taking a trip, but they don't have any info on it yet.
Well, we're going on a trip.
Yeah.
We can hit out. We can knock out our little Dutch town.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I think that wraps up our show today.
Hey, it's the month of
November.
It's a month to be reflective and to give thanks. And so for my first reflection and give thanks, I'm gonna say thank you to all of you, to all of you that stuck with us this year and the years prior. Thank you. Don't forget to like and thumbs up this video. Subscribe if you have not yet already. If you're a shy violet, that's okay. You don't have to subscribe tonight, but maybe click that share button and share it with a friend.
No one knows that you like it. Just like it. Click the like. Leave
It
a
really
comment.
it really helps us. Even leaving a comment. I hated tonight's show. I hate beer, and I never want to see you do it again.
Yeah.
Or
Jimmy
I
doesn't
really
know what he's
liked
talking about, or
what you
Jimmy's hit the nail on the head.
You know, James in his Saint Anky shirt was super on point tonight.
The Saint Yankees. That's a throwback. We're gonna see
if you know what it is. Leave a comment
is.
below if you know what that's from.
If you know the Saint Yankees beer and where that comes from, please leave a comment.
Then you're really cool.
I wore that because we're doing a beer night. So
we've got some other fun things coming up for you in November that we don't want you to miss out on. We've got a special Thanksgiving bourbon pick, turkey themed even. We've got some wine. We're going to do a wine pick for what wine should you be taking to Thanksgiving this year. And breaking news, it should be bourbon. And then, of course, we've got holiday shows later in December, which includes some on-site live shows. This is the ever popular Nog Show.
Oh, the Nog Show is around the corner.
And the Bubbles Show at the end of the year.
Bubbles Show.
It's all coming so fast, and we don't want you to miss out. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We love having you here with us. So thank you, Jimmy.
For the Bell Buddies, I'm Jimmy.
And I'm BJ. We'll see you next week.
Well done.